All right, welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. I am Joe, Guy at the Movies. This is episode 27. Sean, how are you?
At this point, the holiday cheer is amongst me. I am about 87% Christmas cookie at this point, or that's just the inside of me. But
is that the name
I'm
of the beer
feeling
you're
good.
drinking?
Oh, 87% Christmas cookie. That sounds like a good beer name. I like that.
Fair enough. And we have a guest with us today, Big Ace of Movie Reviews with Big Ace. How are you?
Good, just doing it, feeling strong today. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Trying to wheel and deal, trying to pay my bills during COVID. It's all good fun. Hoping the critic career pops off sometime soon too.
Preach.
I won't be mad. Be mad.
You and I are two people that went to law school and went through all that hell, and now we're like, well, if I can become a critic.
Yeah, it's like I don't know about. I mean, law school is a lot like being a critic too.
Yeah. No, never mind. I'm not going down that path. This is a friendly podcast. We're going to have fun. We're not going to talk about the hell that is law school and everything. All right. So we have a lot of news that we want to get to today. And this is on the heels of last week's episode, which was all about Disney Investor Day. So we may touch on that a little bit tonight based on different conversations that we may get into. But first, let's start off with what we have been watching. We're going to switch it up a little bit this week and just talk about our top picks, because one thing that Sean and I realized in kind of recapping kind of where we go with the episodes each week is we watch a lot of movies. Sean in particular laps me like three times in movies.
Way too many movies, far too many. But I haven't watched any this week really, except for a couple. So
there you go. And I've been a little behind on them. So what we're going to do is just kind of focus on the one that we want you to know about that we've watched. And starting off, I finally got around to Meryl Streep's Let Them All Talk, which is on HBO Max. It's getting pretty mixed reviews because the tone of the film is very somber in a way. I guess that's the way I would put it. It's very one note. Lucas Hedges is in it, and he's one of my favorite young actors. I think everything he's been in has just been phenomenal in terms of his performance. But it's really a film where Meryl Streep is not the most likable, and her character is a writer on a cruise ship with two friends that she invites, as well as her nephew, played by Hedges. And there's some stuff in the past that gets dredged up, and they really are learning to address all of it and figure out kind of where things went wrong in their lives in terms of the relationship. And Meryl Streep, even when she is the most unlikable character, is still putting on a whirlwind lesson on how to act when it comes to any type of personality that she may be portraying. So I really enjoyed it, to be quite honest. It's very different, but I really did enjoy it. I know, Sean, you saw it as well, didn't you?
So what's interesting about this movie is that it was, with the exception of an outline, completely improvised in most of its scenes. And I thankfully read that fact before I saw it, because it's sort of like I was able to watch all of these artists sort of make magic happen in the dialogue. And that could be why it has mixed reviews, because it is literally women and Lucas Hedges talking on a ship, excuse me. And I don't want to get in trouble with the cruise industry. And that's pretty much it, with the exception of a couple of events towards the end, which are a little bit monumental. But I loved the idea of Soderbergh just saying, all right, I'm going to film like live action on a cruise. Like, they didn't like shut down the cruise. They just had the cruise going. Let's just let these ladies talk. We have a little bit of an outline of how this story is going to go, and that's it. And Soderbergh always loves to do those crazy movies. He loves to try the experimentation. And this one, I think it paid off.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Ace, did you have a chance to catch this, or are you aware of it at all?
I didn't. It's just not my style of movie. I couldn't. It looked a little depressing, a little too grim right now. Meryl Streep is the GOAT, but I didn't want to deal with it right now.
She is wonderful. It's really funny, too, after watching her in The Prom and then watching her in this. I'm like, man, she has such great range. But in terms of scripts and, kind of acting off the cuff and stuff, your film, Sean, for this week is very different because it's adapted from a play.
Yes, I saw on Netflix, I saw Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is getting some sort of divisive praise at certain times. The one thing that everyone can agree on is that the two lead performances from Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis are absolute top. They're truly wonderful. And Boseman is absolutely legendary in this. It's so tragic that we lost him, and he's legendary. If he was still with us right now, this would be this would be his best performance. And we lost him, unfortunately, and this is still his best performance. Viola Davis is playing entirely against type. Here's where the criticisms could come in. I don't think this is true with it, but a lot of people say, well, when you adapt a play, it gets tricky. It seems like it's a play. It seems like it's just a play where you're in the two rooms. Now, you are in the two rooms here. They film this. George C. Wolfe, the director, films this in such an intimate way that this does not feel like I'm watching a stage play. Even though they're in those two settings, that's true. Even though the story, there's not much of a story, it's just them trying to film a record, but the journey that the characters go on and the introspection the characters have is what I'm truly watching this for and is what makes it. I was sort of amazed. I was nervous about seeing this one. I was thinking, I know the performances are going to be great. I know that's going to happen, but I don't like when I feel like it's a play. And some people have argued with me saying they still feel like it's a play. Cool. I think that this does a little bit more and like turns it into a movie and has that strong adaptation.
Yeah, very interesting because there's a film coming out, I believe also on Amazon, One Night in Miami, that is similar. Mm-hmm. It's an adaptation of a play, and I felt like it was a play watching it because it's very much the same. They kind of are in the same location most of the movie, and it's really just a discussion that is filmed. But
you already saw that One Night in Miami?
I did. I saw that.
Was it good?
Last week. I enjoyed it. I am not as big on it as a lot of other people are, but you know, the discussions are very impactful. I do think that it could have gone deeper. But the reason I haven't reviewed it yet is because I'm still wrestling with that. I'm wondering if that's because that's my perspective as a white male, thinking like, oh, this conversation could have gone deeper, or, you know, if there's something I missed in there. But the acting is fantastic. It's very similar, I guess, to Ma Rainey's here, right? Like the performances are phenomenal. So I'm excited to see kind of how that plays out in Oscar land. But Ace, what have you been up to in terms of watching stuff?
So I rewatched Any Given Sunday over the weekend, and that movie is way underappreciated as far as football films. I think it has to be top 3 because I love this film because it kind of goes into the mindset of every different character on a football team. Everybody from the owners to the medical personnel to the athletes. So you've got, Cameron Diaz, who is the young owner, young new hotshot owner, and she's obviously hot. Jamie Foxx is the third stringer who comes out of nowhere. LL Cool and gets super cocky. LL Cool J is the seasoned vet who's already super cocky. There's a guy with a head injury, and the doctor's kind of going back and forth on whether to play him. And the movie is actually super progressive. I did not realize how progressive that movie was until recently. I mean, you've got a female owner of the team. There's literally a scene where she's in a locker room full of giant naked dudes, and she's literally shaking hands with giant naked men. And like she's the owner of the team. That's pretty progressive if you ask me. And you've got Jamie Foxx in there too, already talking about this movie came out, I think I want to say 2001 or 1999, and he's already talking about how 70% of the league is black, and then what percentage of the coaches are black. So they're hitting on some big things, and of course you've got two of the biggest stars of the 90s, LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx, right there. I mean, who are probably goated. They're both probably goated as far as like singing. I'd probably give Jamie Foxx the edge on acting there.
Really?
As far as rapping and singing goes, I'd give it to both of them.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Where does Friday Night Lights fall in your
Friday Night Lights is so good. It's got to be another one. It has to be top 5.
Yeah. Okay.
And Al Pacino, don't forget Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday too. He's the lead, that speech at the end where he's doing I love it. He's like, if we don't come together now, we will fail. So good.
There is a scene in this that I absolutely love, and it's when Al Pacino and Jamie Foxx are arguing, and they're arguing about, he's the third string QB, arguing about how he could play the game. And while they're having this intense argument, there are clips of the chariot race from Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is Oliver Stone off the rails, baby. Yeah. Like, this is just like him going. And I just see that, and I'm like, okay, he's making a choice. I don't know what this choice is, but I love it.
I wasn't completely following that choice either, but I was like, why is this here right now? No, it's a good movie. I mean, it's definitely sappy at times. It's hilarious because they'll go from scenes that are like, there's one scene where two of the coaches are in the bar and they're talking about how pure the game used to be and this and that, and then it just cuts to Jamie Foxx in a man thong and like a music video. There's some good beats like that.
A man thong.
Then I rewatched. I've watched Return of the King twice this week because it was my girlfriend's birthday last week, and she loves Lord of the Rings. So we watched that baby twice in the past week or so, and The Two Towers.
Nice, very nice. I need to do a rewatch of those.
Oh, God. That's one trilogy where it gets better with each movie, I think.
Return of the King's phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's such a great movie.
I'm a Fellowship guy, though, so I say that thing's. I mean, I guess they're all good, but like you could have Fellowship as a standalone movie looking pretty great. But I do also adore the other ones. Don't get me wrong; like I truly adore the other ones.
I feel like I didn't appreciate them enough when I first saw them. They came out when? Yeah, Lord of the Rings came out
2004.
Okay, so that's before college and stuff. I guess I was in high school. Interesting.
Those are big screen movies.
Yeah.
I mean, we better not like when they do the charge at the end with all the riders of Rohan, and they just charge with absolutely no battle plan whatsoever, just into the sea of orcs. That's legendary. Legendary.
I live for big battle scenes on screen.
That has to be the best. What's a bigger, better battle scene than that? And battle scene.
Today's generation would argue Endgame probably.
Oh, that's a good one though.
Endgame.
Yeah, that's a very good one, but that's tough. That's tough.
Avengers.
Dude, no.
Coming out of the portals, that's a beautiful moment.
I don't know
if we'll get further with this, but I'll just say that is a beautiful moment in film. It's coming out of the portals.
It was a cool movie, no doubt. Like, I don't have a problem with Endgame, but not nearly as epic, I think, as Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. You just can't.
I mean,
I agree with you there.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I go back to like Saving Private Ryan, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Those battle scenes are incredible as well.
Those are heavy.
Mm-hmm.
All the World War II vets say that's the D-Day, opening sequence. They say that's the most realistic to kind of what the real thing was.
Yeah, I remember I heard that and I was like, I wish that wasn't the case because that was terrifying.
Have you guys seen Overlord?
Yes.
That movie peaks. It peaks in the first 10 minutes. That whole sequence on the plane is incredible. I'd put that sequence up there with any action sequence ever made. And unfortunately, that's where the movie peaks.
Overlord is the J.J. Abrams movie that for forever was rumored to be a Cloverfield movie. And then I guess they decided it wasn't going to be. And it's just something completely off the wall. It was fun. I had a good time when I saw it. I wouldn't watch it again, but it was fine. That's my go-to when I'm like.
I mean, has a Cloverfield movie or sequel ever known it's a Cloverfield movie before, until after it was made? Because I feel like the two that were made were just like, wait, we're a Cloverfield movie? Like, the aliens are different.
What was the movie I watched recently? And I was like, this could easily be a Cloverfield sequel. I can't remember which one that was.
I hate that this is what it's become.
This could fit in. I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure we'll get more of those on HBO Max now that JJ has a deal with Warner Brothers. So we'll see what happens. Let's jump into some news and start off with another monster. No, I'm kidding. Tom Cruise had a little bit of a fit on set of Mission Impossible 7 a few weeks back here now, related to COVID-19 safety protocols not being followed. What we want to do now is play that 2-minute clip for you all. And then we're going to have a little discussion about, whether he was in the right, whether he was in the wrong, if we agree, if we don't. It's some interesting context, I think, coming from a man who is so highly regarded in the industry and also a producer on this film, one of the first films back in the pandemic to be back in production. And he also wrote most of these protocols, if I'm not mistaken. Ace, you would know better there, right?
I know that he worked with various groups on the protocols. I'm not sure though that he's the one who sat there and wrote all the protocols.
Yeah, well, I doubt that. I should have said that part.
Yeah, no, but he is the guy on those movies. I'm pretty sure he gets the capital P producer credit, so it's on him. We'll talk about it more, I'm sure, after you play it.
All right, so here we go. Here is wonderful Tom Cruise jumping up and down on Oprah's couch. Oh, wrong video. Here is Tom Cruise ripping into crew members who have since departed.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every studio at night. Insurance companies. Producers. And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs. I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too. And you too. And you. Don't you ever do it again. That's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. The future of the industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting this movie down. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're gone. And so are you. So you're going to cost him his job. And I see it on the set, you're gone. And you're gone. That's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Do you understand the responsibility that you have? Because I will deal with your reason. And if you can't be reasonable, and I can't deal with your logic, you're fired. That's it. That is it. I trust you guys to be here.
All right, so what are the thoughts that first come to mind after hearing that tirade? Ace, let's start with you down there.
Yeah, so I know you deferred to me earlier. I want to just throw it out there. I am a certified COVID compliance officer. This is real. This is not a joke. I am a I do work on sets out here in Los Angeles as a production assistant and COVID compliance officer, mostly in digital and television. Anyway, so I've been the person on set who's literally in charge of making sure people are following the protocols. Anyway, as far as Tom Cruise goes, though, like I everything he said is not wrong, you know, because I know the studio films are stricter policies than the things that I've worked on with maybe a little bit smaller crews. And when he is the capital P producer, or he is that big executive producer and everything's running through him, if the thing gets shut down, you know, that's ultimately going to fall on his shoulders. So I understand why he's mad. You know, in a lot of ways, I was kind of just thinking about it. It's no different really than a head coach getting on his team about breaking COVID protocols. And I'm sure that's happened. We just haven't heard it because that's not an industry where cameras are rolling around all the time. With that being said, I can't help but laugh a little bit at the tone in Tom Cruise's voice. Like if he was yelling at me, I was really glad I had a mask on because I might have started laughing just while he's on his like little tirade, you know. I get why he's pissed. I mean, here's the thing. My understanding, though, is that he was mad because people were hovered around a monitor. I mean, I don't really know what his I don't really know what else you can do. I guess you can rent more monitors. But on the sets that I've worked on, I'm not going to say which ones out of those NDAs and whatnot. There's usually a special zone where just the mandated people need to be, for example, you know, the cast for that scene and then the key crew people. And it's not a big deal if there's a couple people around a monitor. I mean, ultimately, if there's like the DP, for example, and he's working, you know, with his guys on the camera, let's say, there's multiple guys touching the camera at the same time. So I don't know if Tom Cruise just lost it. or if the rules are that stringent on that set and he really thought they were going to be shut down.
It's so interesting to see someone who constantly puts their life on the line, his life on the line in these movies, and relies on crew and safety people on sets and all that to take that tone. It definitely has not had the best impact on the Mission Impossible 7 set, as TMZ has reported that at least 5 crew members have quit the production.
Really?
And additionally, that he had another outburst, but we haven't gotten that leak yet. So, Sean, what are your thoughts on this one? I always go back to thinking about Family Guy for some reason. You and I have talked offline about the Family Guy Christian Bale outburst. I think this is different because there's a reason for the outburst. But I also think about the way that Family Guy portrays Tom Cruise as like a little baby, like a little short dude with Stewie, and that's all I think about here. So I'm with you, Ace. I'd probably be laughing.
Babe, stop. You can't. Sorry. That's my girlfriend. She wanted to see what's going on.
Welcome.
So, I mean, I would say the one thing I truly miss is yelling Tom Cruise. I truly miss the good old fashioned Colonel Jessup. Did you order the code red? Yelling Tom Cruise, because there's an intensity there that's great. I think that he also yelled with the cadence of Martin Sheen in Wall Street with his line delivery, where he said, "You could find a man whose worth is the size of his wallet." And there was a few that really just he was borrowing the notes, and I really do appreciate that. I thought that was lovely. In terms of the actual seriousness of this, I think about, is this the first producer ever to yell at a crew? This is it, 2020. This is it. I think this has happened before. Obviously, it's making news because of COVID and crews, and I get that. But people are saying "Oh, he's yelling at his crew" and stuff like that. I think that I think that even the Christian Bale situation, when you're making a movie, it's intense. It's horrifyingly intense. And it's very stressful. And so let's add COVID to that. Let's add protections to that. Let's add to the possibility that this could get shut down tomorrow. Yeah, this guy goes for about 7 minutes, and that's maybe a little bit much, but the guy loves to make a little show. I personally get why he's like that, and I understand why he's angry. Yeah, sure. Well, should we all be polite to each other all the time and hold hands in a circle? Well, not hold hands in a circle 6 feet apart. But should we all be in a circle 6 feet apart? Kumbaya? Absolutely. But sometimes we don't have time for that. So you got to just scream at the person and then maybe scream for far too long, and therefore you still don't have time for that. But I argue that these are tense times, and so I side with Bale and I side with Cruz because those are the people I want in my corner, the crazies. Put them there. But truly, I think that he's doing the right thing. He might have went a little bit off his rocker, but I think that all in all, good call.
I think what I'm most surprised about is we haven't seen him publicly address it. To come out and say yeah, this leaked, we shouldn't have leaked. Instead, apparently he was really pissed off it leaked, and that's probably why he had the second outburst. But
it's a good cap to 2020.
Yeah,
it is really.
Honestly, in today's media, though, I don't even think he has to apologize, because it'll just get blown over in a couple of days when the next Warner Bros. Decides to pull the rug out from under everybody, or God knows what happened. I literally don't know what's going to happen. We have 8 days left. I don't know what's going to happen.
City and stuff like that,
Greenland style.
I want to see that.
It's very good.
$20 though to rent. I'm just having a hard time justifying that right now.
Watch it with someone. You got the girlfriend ducking out of the way.
Venmo.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on and talk about the next story, which is another reboot in the works. And this one is kind of interesting to me. The Revenge of the Nerds movies are highly entertaining. They are a product of a time, of course. And they're problematic now in terms of how they display certain things. But Keith and Kenny Lucas of 22 Jump Street and some other projects, as well as Seth MacFarlane, best known for Family Guy, the Ted series, the Orville. They're rebooting the 1980s hit comedy Revenge of the Nerds in what's being called a contemporary reimagining of the story. The Lucases are going to write and star in the film, while MacFarlane will produce. Sean, this immediately gives me Neighbors vibes.
That's what it has to be. I'm confused by this because, not only is there the Revenge of the Nerds, I do love those movies, but they have not aged well for the, kind of horrific things some of the characters do, but also like there's not really nerds anymore in this same sort of like classic sense. Like, I mean, I'm a nerd. Like, I think there's a lot of people that are nerds that are also, you know, functioning members of society. I don't know if this, like, there's not that division of social hierarchy in the same way that there used to be. I mean, a bunch of, like, you know, the cool bros went to go see Avengers, and they also probably went to see Lord of the Rings. And so I think that in that regard, this seems like it's a really, really tough tightrope to walk. And that's the part of it that, you know, seems very interesting to me. I mean, they still could do it, but it'll feel aged, in my opinion.
I mean, especially because when you're talking about fraternities and sororities in a film, they're not as, I don't know that they ever were well regarded, but, you know, and that's coming from someone who's in a fraternity, but today you have a lot more negativity and problematic behavior that is being showcased when it comes to sexual assault and some of the deaths we've seen on campuses, quite frankly, from hazing. I don't know. I was a nerd in school, so I'll watch it anyway. But Ace, were you a nerd in school?
Well, I want to say first before I forget, being a nerd is cool now. So Sean, I feel what you're saying. It's cool to be a nerd now. So yeah, there's probably not that same social hierarchy.
That's why we're here.
No, one of my friends had an intervention with me though. My freshman year, I was wearing like Iron Man shirt to school, and he just said, "Dude, I get it, you like Iron Man, but like chicks don't dig that. Like, stop buying the Target prints. You need to go get some other stuff." And he was right.
Ace pushes his like Pizza Planet shirt away.
But dude, what you're saying though, with by the way, Revenge of the Nerds was shot at University of the Arizona. Bear down. That's where I went to school at. And you're right. They do some pretty horrible things. I mean, I'm pretty sure the end scene or one of that where the main character hooks up with the jock's girl, right? And he's wearing the Darth Vader costume. I'm pretty sure now that would be considered like some form of sexual assault. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be very funny in today's day and age.
It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. Because again, every time I read this story or I read something about it, I get vibes of Neighbors, because that just kind of seems like a modern way to tell a story about a fraternity or sorority in today's time. Of course, it's not the nerd thing, but I guess it kind of you could see it in that.
With the new parents, those are kind of, I guess those are nerds. Like they're like sleeping all the time, and
those are nerds,
not having fun. they're nerds. My sister's a new parent. She's such a nerd right now. Like,
all right, so let's move on to another story here. This is one that we've been following for quite a while. Warner Media has concluded its investigation into Justice League following allegations made by Cyborg actor Ray Fisher against Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, and a number of other individuals on the set of the Justice League reshoots back in, I guess this happened in 2016 or early 2017. So Warner Media has now come out and concluded the investigation, stating that, quote unquote, remedial action has been taken. Ray Fisher went on to say, to comment online saying that the investigation is now complete. It has led to some remedial action that we've seen and some that is still to come. And let me see what else. And Warner Media, I actually really like this. Warner Media reached out and said that they appreciate Ray Fisher having the courage to come forward and assist the company with creating an inclusive and equitable work environment for its employees and partners. That's a nice cap to a really shitty way they started the investigation, to be quite honest. But what are we seeing from this? Number one, Joss Whedon has exited his series The Nevers on HBO. Some footage of that was shared in an HBO Max sizzle reel last week, I guess it was. But he was developing that. That was his whole thing, and he stepped away from that. Additionally, last week, we learned that his comedy, Pippa Smith, Grown Up Detective, which was going to be on Freeform, he was producing that. That has been scrapped. So while these are not direct relation, we don't know for a fact that they are a direct result of the investigation. That's kind of what people are inferring here. Ace, are you familiar with any of what's been going on with this investigation?
I am a little bit, and what you said makes me think though that maybe I'm missing something. So maybe you can fill in the gaps for me, because my current understanding of this is that the entire situation is extremely vague. I read the original accusations, and it just said abusive set. He was abusive to cast members. Okay, In what sense? What does that mean? And maybe I'm missing something. So fill me in. And then also, even when Warner Bros., kind of wrapped it up recently, they basically just said, again, extremely vaguely, remedial measures have been taken. What remedial measures to what problem? So part of me thinks, like, you got to take every accusation. It's a hard thing, right? Because you don't want to give full credence to every accusation, because we're not just going to assume that every single accusation is true, right? But it would be helpful if they gave me some factual information so I could form my own opinion. Unless I'm missing something, you tell me.
Yeah, so all we really know about it is that there were a number of issues, quote unquote issues, on the set of the reshoots with Joss Whedon leading them. A lot of it came in the form of, it seems like, some racial tension. And, from what let me see if I can pull up the old report here. So it was accusations of mistreatment and impropriety on the set of the film. Fisher later elaborated in an interview with Forbes, citing the removal of characters of color from the film and his own diminished screen time. Additionally, he alleged that notes given to him during reshoots by Whedon were comments influenced by racism, and that Jeff Johns made veiled threats to his career. The other piece was that later on in post-production, they lightened up the skin of one of the actors of color. And, what we've learned since then is that I believe it was Gal Gadot in an interview this past week that said she was interviewed for a lengthy period of time by Warner Brothers, that she had her own issues on set that were dealt with at the time. But she fully supports Ray Fisher. And then we know as well that Jason Momoa, Aquaman, has come out and said the same thing, that he supports Ray Fisher and all of that. So I don't know that we'll ever really know exactly what happened. I agree with you. It would be nice to know how they're wrapping this investigation up and how that's going to, impact the future of the studio, rather than this, we're committed to inclusivity and diversity, and, we're going to do everything right. I don't know. I assume down the road we'll hear more, but at this point, that's really all we know.
I want to say one thing really quick, and thanks for clearing that up for me. I just want to be crystal clear that I'm all for racial equality, sexual equality of all measures. I'm completely for it. Again, though, these things, what you're telling me, are just kind of like broad conclusory statements. Like, there was racial prejudice, there was this. I'm like, okay, but how? And if there was, in fact, racial prejudice going on that set, and mistreatment due to race and things of that nature, and a character was distinctly removed because of race and not some other reason, then yeah, I completely agree that's wrong. It needs to be dealt with. But again, based on what I've read and what you've told me, I've just heard conclusory statements. So yeah, I would like to hear some more facts, please.
Yeah, well, the one thing I will add there, just based on the removal of characters, is, and Sean's heard this, we've talked about this for multiple weeks, but the pushback from Whedon's camp is that the decisions to move some of these characters was made before Whedon was brought on. But what we know is that Joe Morton's character of Silas Stone, which was Cyborg's father, was drastically cut. Karen Bryson, who would play Cyborg's mother, was cut completely out of the film. Kiersey Clemens, who would play Iris West, love interest to the Flash, also a woman of color, cut from the film. Harry Lennox, who was in the previous two films, General Swanwick, previous two meaning Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. He was
pretty much every black actor from the cast was cut.
In addition,
that's not a good look. That's not a good look.
Zheng Kai, who is Ryan Choi, or the Atom, as one of the superheroes that was going to be included. So, as someone, I do investigations on a regular basis for work, and what this strikes me as is something that right off the bat needed to be investigated. I think they fumbled it early on and made kind of a public mockery of Ray Fisher, unfortunately, in some of the ways that they were kind of releasing statements saying that he wasn't cooperating, and then Ray Fisher would be like, "Hey, I have receipts." But again, it seems like a number of them have had their own issues in there. I do want to hear more, because the worst part of being sort of an armchair news quarterback here is that we are getting our news from a site who is getting their news from sources.
Right.
So I don't know. Sean, is this a good wrap up, do you think? Or are you still wanting to see like what these remedial measures are?
Yeah, the fact that it just said remedial measures quite literally made me laugh out loud. I was just like, oh, cool, remedial measures. Like, without any sort of take whatsoever on that. But I will agree with you, Joe. I really enjoyed that they said to Ray Fisher, we thank Ray Fisher for coming forward, and we encourage people to do so. That, like, it was a very bland corporate statement. It really did. It had the view of that. But there is some power in that. Where, you know, if this is something where it's like, hey, you don't see something that's right. Maybe you're not experiencing a harassment. Maybe you're not experiencing a prejudice, but you can come forward and your career won't be put in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that, like, still needs to be grown. I think Hollywood has, like, you know, excelled quite a bit in diversity when it fits the publicity. But I think that this is something where it's like, hey, if something is bugging you, if something is bothering you, come forward to us. I don't know. And Ace, you were talking about, like, I want to know more of the details. And Joe had quite a few there. We're not going to know all of the details.
Yeah, we never will.
We will never know them.
No
you know,
way.
90 years from now, some guy will write a book and that's about it. Like, that's all we'll get.
I think you make a great point, though, about, people should be able to feel comfortable and express their concerns because worst case, they're wrong. And then, we're all good. I mean, actually, it's the opposite. Best case is they're wrong. And we're all good. Worst case is there's something that actually needs to be addressed, but it does in fact need to be addressed.
But look, that's the same stuff with the Me Too movement, right?
Exactly, it's the same thing.
It's the same exact thing, and the fact that Warner Brothers would fumble this so early on, given that it's the same type of, I don't want to use the term whistleblower because it's not quite a whistleblower, but someone raising a serious complaint or serious concern and it being swept under the rug. It's like they've learned nothing, or they're just treating sexual misconduct as its own pocket, which infuriates me.
Mm-hmm.
But the book won't be coming out in a few years. Here's a plug for our friend Sean O'Connell, who wrote the Release the Snyder Cut book, which is coming out in February. And I've asked him a few times if he knows, if he has like any insight into any more details in this. And he has some apparently. I don't know if it's going to be in the book or not, but I'm sure we'll be hearing more from him as he's allowed to say things as well. And that book will probably give a little bit more context as to what was going on behind the scenes. I do think it was just a calamity of errors. It was a clusterfuck in and of itself. So unfortunately, it sounds like Ray Fisher took the brunt of a lot of it, but I'm glad that it's moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought Justice League 3 years later, almost 4 years later, still in the conversation? Anyway, speaking of Justice League, we didn't mention Ben Affleck in that story, but we're going to mention him in the next one because Ben Affleck has been brought on board, and here's a callback to earlier in the show. Dan Trachtenberg of 10 Cloverfield Lane, his next film, which is Houdini. I can't believe there hasn't been a Houdini film because when I was in elementary school and middle school and I had to do a project on like a historical figure, every time I would choose Houdini. So I'm very pumped about this. But Ben Affleck's playing Houdini, of course, the famed magician, in a biopic based on the novel The Secret Life of Houdini. This film has kind of bounced through a lot of different developmental hoops since 2006, which is kind of crazy. Dan Trachtenberg has been attached since 2016. I believe this is at Disney. So who knows if it's going to be Disney Plus or, a biopic really will go straight to theaters because it's Oscar bait. And especially with someone like Ben Affleck, first off, I want to know, Ace, Houdini, does that interest you at all? And then number two is did you see The Way Back? And and do you think Ben Affleck is going to be up for Best Actor?
I think The Way Back was my first review, actually, on Instagram, because I went to the theater and then the theaters got shut down. I think that's what happened.
Hell of a time to start being a critic.
Ben Affleck as Houdini definitely interests me, and I was pumped for it. I saw who the director was. I was still pumped. But then I saw it was Disney, and I either absolutely love what they do, or I really don't, and there's no in between. So I'm just flipping the coin. I'm not going to get my hopes up too high.
I'm wondering though if it is set up at 20th century.
I was wondering the same thing. That was my next question. Is it because if it's with a subsidiary, I'm down, and it's not going to be just straight Disney banner. Then it's probably fire. But if they make it, I doubt with the Cloverfield director, it's going to be under the Disney, basic banner.
And with Ben Affleck as well. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
Sean, Houdini.
I mean, I always thought Harry Houdini was a pretty cool character, pretty cool, historical figure. I'm a little bit confused with the Affleck casting. First of all, saw the way back, and I mean, they're not doing the Oscar push. I hope they do the Oscar push. I want that Oscar push because I think he's earned a nomination. So his performance was stellar. But the casting for Affleck as Houdini was kind of like I'm looking at it, pretty kind of muscular, but a little bit smaller and a little bit more, flamboyantly theatrical, it felt like. And I don't know if Affleck is kind of that same type of character. I mean, Affleck could have range. This is the one thing, is when I heard the Affleck thing, I was like, oh, cool, Affleck's getting roles. I'm in, like, right on. Oh, Houdini, that sounds cool. But it didn't really, and you've done the reports in school, Joe. I don't know, I thought, I was wondering if this is a good casting, but it just seems like, from what I know about Houdini, it doesn't seem like those two things fit.
Okay, let me offer some clarification here, because I just did a nice little Google search, if you will, and found this information at slashfilm.com. So the book itself, The Secret Life of Houdini, The Making of America's First Superhero, is what it's called. The book, quote unquote, posits that Houdini was actually a secret agent who investigated the occult, and the pitch for the movie was that not only was the man a world-class magician and escape artist, but also, quote, part Indiana Jones and part Sherlock Holmes. When last we heard, the latest draft of the script was written by Noah Oppenheim, the Maze Runner Jackie. So, but I doubt that he's going to be attached, only because he was caught up in the Harvey Weinstein scandal. The Hollywood Reporter says that the Houdini movie will be a star vehicle for Affleck, but we've heard that the actor won't be playing Houdini himself. Instead, Affleck will play a supporting character who is some kind of agent.
Oh,
yeah, that just changed the whole thing.
What is happening?
That just changed the whole thing.
Whew.
So I don't know.
I don't know at all now.
I like Ben Affleck as a secret agent. He did good in Argo.
Yeah, it seems like, yes, like he'll be like an Argo type. Well, he'll be like, like Houdini's the real agent there, and Affleck's like the guy in the shadows being like, follow the money or something. Like, I don't know, but some kind of deal like that.
Going to make this reference only because I was watching it yesterday, but the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the creepy guy that's like, the jawbreaker, get the recipe for the jawbreaker.
It's an everlasting gobstopper, Charlie.
That one, whatever. creepy voice.
All right, guy, Slugworth.
So from Ben Affleck to Chris Pine. Chris Pine is attached to star in a new version of Dungeons and Dragons. Our friends at the Chumpcast will be happy to hear this, because they hold Dungeons and Dragons game nights every Tuesday night on Twitch. Losing my voice. Dungeons and Dragons will be set up at Paramount and will be directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly of Game Night fame. And they also wrote the script. It sounds like they are wanting to attract an ensemble cast and launch a franchise, as they all want to do, for Paramount. Are you a Dungeons and Dragons guy, Sean?
So I am not, although it does sound fun, and I've listened to a lot of games be played, because that seems like the big thing that everyone does on podcasts as well. Like they always say, like, ooh, let's do this for the podcast and stuff. So the Chumpcast also does this, which is cool. I know that from listening to people do the games, it seems like it's a very complicated which way books type of style, and like a very, very large open world that maybe isn't the best idea to make into a movie. But that might just be me. I mean, Chris Pine leading a fantasy movie, that sounds dope. Like I'll take him. He knows how to deal with the craziness of some sort of fantasy world. But this seems like it's going to be overly complicated with a lot of different worlds and a lot of different games. And how are they going to exactly nail this down?
Kind of reminds me of World of Warcraft when they try.
That's what I was thinking of too.
And where are they going to go? Ace, did you have a Dungeons and Dragons shirts freshman year, or
no? I recently bought it though to learn how to play with my girlfriend during quarantine. We haven't busted it out yet though. My concerns though are similar. I know about it and I've seen other people play, and I like lore and things like that. So yeah, my concerns are similar to Sean. I just don't know. I don't know how you nail it down and how you make it into a movie. Do you make it more like a Jumanji type situation, or are you going to go World of Warcraft? I mean, either way, I think what we ought to do is find out who owns World of Warcraft IP, in case there's a massive resurgence of the game, and we should all invest
Blizzard
before this movie comes out.
You mean
Blizzard
Dungeons and
owns
Dragons?
Blizzard.
Well,
Oh, did I say World of Warcraft? My
Yeah,
bad.
Mattel.
Dungeons and Dragons. Mattel owns that. I
That's what they
sent,
said.
them I sent them a cover letter recently, so
Just
You're
send them a
in.
follow-up.
well, I hope they don't see this.
Yeah,
This goes out wide. Like this is.
I don't know what this is going to be like. So, number one, I am not the biggest fan of Chris Pine for a variety of reasons. I just don't like his films that much, except for Star Trek series. I thought he was perfectly cast in that. But and that carries over to Wonder Woman 84. Was not a big fan of him in there. But again, kind of what you guys are saying. I don't know where they go with this story because I tune in every once in a while to the Chumpcast when they're doing theirs just to support and listen. And, it is intriguing. I have no freaking idea what's happening, though. I have no idea whatsoever. It seems like there's a general guide, and Ace, you bought the stuff, so you might know better, but there's like a general guide of where the story goes. But
Haven't even opened it yet.
But
It's been 9 months of quarantine. Let's go.
It's very much like choose your own adventure-ish, it sounds like.
Yeah, my understanding is they've got already kind of like built-in stories for the dungeon master to follow, but then you can also build your own story.
Yeah, and Dungeon Master just sounds like kinky as hell, and I can't get into that for a game.
It is a role-playing game. Dude, how you don't like Chris Pine? What about why am I forgetting the name of the movie? Give me a sec. Hell or High Water. Did you see that?
I never saw that.
Yeah, might change your mind about Chris Pine. Just think about it. Something to think about.
His voice annoys me. I know that's rude.
No, he has a Texas accent in that though, so it'll definitely be way better.
What else has he been in though? I'm trying to look through. Oh, he was in This Means War, which was a shit movie.
Outlaw King. I liked Outlaw King.
Outlaw King was interesting. I like that movie. Yeah,
Outlaw King was cool.
He was in Into the Woods.
He got my respect during Hell or High Water. Hell or High Water is the one where I went, "Oh shit, that guy can act."
that is actually a
That guy
great
can
movie.
legitimately act. Yeah, that's a great movie.
I'll check that out. I'll definitely check. Oh, Smoking Aces. I forgot about that movie. He was in
Didn't we all forget about that movie?
Oh man. Well, who knows? I'm not going to say anything more about Chris Pine because a lot of it's coming out of his storyline in Wonder Woman 84. A lot of my hatred or anger and frustration and confusion. So we'll talk about that after it releases. We'll talk about that next week. That'll be my movie next week, Sean.
Oh, I can't wait.
It'll be our end of year thing. And I'll be like, wait, for 1 minute, we got to talk about. All right. So speaking of end of years, and I was going to make some joke that doesn't link up, but waiting till last minute, congressional spending package. We just had one passed last night, $2.3 trillion coronavirus relief package and spending bill. So that's combined. The coronavirus relief package is $900 billion, not trillion. It was passed on Monday evening, and there is much needed help for movie theaters included. Of the funds, $15 billion is dedicated to movie theaters and live performance venues. According to the National Association of Theater Owners President John Fithian, the funds will greatly benefit most small and mid-sized movie theaters, including their employees who otherwise may have closed. But of course, this does not impact the larger chains. The organization is going to continue to lobby for funds to support larger chains. Ace, is this too little too late for them, or is this welcome news?
It is welcome news. I just don't know. I mean, ultimately, how much is the relief really going to help? Like a small theater, I don't know where they're operating out of. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, the bottom line is I don't know. What's really going to help is when they say, all right, we've got enough vaccines out. People are cool with going half capacity, or people at least feel comfortable going back to half capacity or even full capacity. Until then, it's not going to happen. And then you've got all these other things working against the theaters right now, like Warner Brothers for the entire 2021. And who knows who else is going to jump off board with that kind of behavior. So I just don't know. Sean,
how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
I think that when it comes to the Warner Brothers situation, just to backtrack from that, I don't know if many other studios are going to be jumping on the same bandwagon. I think they realized that there was a bit of a public pushback. I think they said, like, wow, they did the whole year. That's kind of insane. Like, the fact that, I don't know, like, it's going to be really interesting what happens with Dune because, knock on every single piece of wood you have in your house. But probably by the time Dune comes out, theaters are going to be safe. And therefore, most people are probably still going to see Dune in theaters. And, there'll be the lighter, like, romantic comedies or whatever that people would rather just see on HBO Max because there's no reason to see that in theaters.
Right.
And so that stuff will be interesting. My main issue is the mom and pop theater near me already closed because this pandemic has been going on for 9 fucking months, and that's gonna be like, are you freaking? Oh no, cool, yeah, give him $600. I know it's more, but I don't give a shit. Like it was like this frustrates me that it's like, hey, the theaters will be saved, and then like I walk by 2 broken down theaters, like just that were just recently closed, and I'm like, fantastic guys, you really came in the in the clutch. It's like the Titanic lifeboats coming by for all the frozen corpses bobbing in the sea. It's like, oh yeah, cool. Go.
The other piece of this is that it's $15 billion, and that includes live venues. So you're talking about like live concert spaces and other pieces like that.
Sports arenas.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other piece. I wonder I wonder how that impacts sports arenas and the companies that are, behind them.
I mean, this whole thing, not to get too political, but it seems like I just want to know how they're distributing the benefits or the stimulus package per se. Because, for example, like you look at me, I'm in LA, dude, the cost of living here is really high, and that's my own fault for wanting to live here. But explain to me how I get $600 and then somebody who's doing really well in, I don't know, like the middle of the woods, I don't know, wherever. It doesn't matter. Not that there's anything wrong with being in the middle of the woods, but the cost of living probably isn't as high. And if you already got cheese, explain to me why we're getting the same 600. Do you see what I'm saying?
It's even worse with something like me where I'm a teacher that gets paid. I'm doing well. I'm fine. Nothing really has changed for me except for my like general mental health, which was shit to begin with. And I'm getting $600. And it's just like, well, wait, I do need it. Don't get me wrong, but like it's one of those things where like I'm not someone who's in trouble as much as someone else, and so I don't think Robert Kraft at Gillette Stadium needs the money as much as like Ma and Pa's please watch our movies. Like kind of
maybe it's more about just getting people to spend money and kind of get the economy going. I'm just spitballing. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Could be it, yeah.
But maybe because everybody's gonna go. Like I saw somebody make a good point today on in a meme. It's like, okay, $600 isn't enough to change kind of the balance of your life and economic wealth, but it is enough to make your life a little less shitty and go buy that new Xbox or PlayStation or that new thing that you really want and kind of maybe get, I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, but not for the people that are already behind on rent and,
correct.
Put it towards that.
Correct.
But the good news, this is unrelated to movie theaters, but the good news is that it is no longer a crime to misuse certain emblems such as Smokey the Bear and Woodsy Owl characters. So you can impersonate them as much as you want. That is in the bill. That is no longer illegal. So we're in good shape. That helps us all. Sean.
Okay, no, there's no words. Like I've lost the ability to have vowels. So just let's go.
There's a lot of random stuff in there. All right. Well, when it comes to the theaters, there is a lot of help that's needed. I think one of the pieces that we're missing out on as well, though, is that it's the employees of the theaters, and they definitely need help. The theater owners themselves probably need a different level of help. So I don't know that we can just bundle this all in. I want to know, kind of like you said, Ace, how it's going to be distributed, where it's going to go, and who is going to be responsible for, divvying it up and deciding this mom and pop theater in rural Kansas gets this, while this mom and pop theater, or I guess this small theater that's in like central Philadelphia, Center City, Philadelphia, I should say. Man, Philadelphians would freak out at me for that. Center City, Philadelphia, how much does that get? It's just, there's no rhyme or reason, unfortunately, and that's, I think, what drives me a little nuts. Oh, man. And then
That
the
was
stocks
dark.
are tanking. The stocks are tanking. My AMC stock is
yes.
up and down. Oh.
Well, you were saying earlier you bought it last year before COVID, which is probably the worst time ever to buy it.
Yeah, thanks, Ace.
But no, I've been keeping my eye on it. Last I checked was AMC's trading it about $3. I think I'm going to give it another month or so and put in. My thing is because I'm just getting into the market, I'm learning more about it, and I have somebody else deal with my real money. But my little extra, I got myself a Fidelity account, and if I like something, $500 to that thing. So I'm thinking of $500 of AMC in the next 2 months.
Well, that's a good purchase.
Given that because you'll buy it low and there's somewhat of a boom potential. If you see it's going up, you can always buy more.
It
and
is
then
currently
same
at
with things like Disney.
$2.60.
AMC.
AMC's at $2.60.
Oh, I thought you said 200. I thought you meant 260.
No, where have you been?
No, I that's what I'm saying. I thought it skyrocketed somehow, and I didn't know. It scared me.
Disney is currently at $170, and Apple is currently at $130. That's lower than I expected for Apple, actually.
Apple has been crushing it for me. I bought Apple last year, and they did something with their stock, so it doubled. And then AMC, I bought them, or excuse me, Disney, right before they released Disney Plus. I knew it was going to go up, but it was a mistake. And they've gone up a lot recently as these vaccines have come out, because a ton of their business, is from theme parks and resorts.
Yep.
What was I going to say about them? Oh, missed opportunity, though. Next year on Disney Investor Day, we have to show up. We got to show up, and everybody's putting in 5,000 at least. If you have it, we're putting it. Dude, it went up 30%.
I definitely just have 5,000 laying around here, so I'm happy to throw that in.
Hey, maybe you do. I don't know. You're talking about going to Sundance and these sorts of things. Maybe I don't know what you do.
I don't know what I do either. That's the thing. The crazy thing with Apple is they're definitely riding the high of all the great content they have on Apple TV Plus. I can't even get that joke out. So it will be interesting to see how. I think Apple's taken a hit too with the way I can't say that. All right, we're not a stock.
But hold on, but about Apple here, I'll get you to Apple movies and stuff like that. Isn't most of their stuff though? I know they've picked some kind of niche types of movies. Hasn't most of it been pretty quality to this point? I haven't watched that much of it either. So you tell me.
It's really good stuff. They have an animated movie, Wolf Walkers. They have Ted Lasso, which is kind of like this cult favorite, really nice comedy, quaint comedy. Then that's it.
I know. Well, I mean, because you mentioned Ted Lasso. I know this is a movie podcast, but C with Jason Momoa is actually pretty sick also.
Oh, yeah.
It's dope.
I always forget about Apple TV Plus. I know that's terrible, but
me too. I figured out. Did you guys see Greyhound?
Yeah,
I did see Greyhound. Yeah,
was it good?
Yes. Okay.
You guys want to hear a Tom Cruise story or Tom?
Yes.
Tom Hanks. I mean, Tom Hanks.
Go for it.
So last summer, I was at a restaurant in LA at the beach, and I was with my stepmom, and she was sitting across from me, and Tom Hanks sat behind her and was facing me, and it was the most distracting meal I've ever been to in my entire life. He had a big beard and everything. He looked like Forrest Gump. I can't do this right now. I can't do this.
We need to leave.
He was looking right at me, like he was in, I couldn't not look at him.
Oh my god, he made eye contact
in my plane of view.
So this is a Misconnections with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, if you are out there listening, Ace would like to speak with you about your future.
Speak with Tom Hanks.
He wants to know all about Geppetto and what's going on.
Hey, what's a pedo? What?
Geppetto. Oh man, we need to make sure that is
Peter Pan.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Yeah, no, we all the last two syllables were enunciated. Geppetto.
You took that list pretty serious, huh? You know the Epstein list?
Oh yeah, he's on it.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Okay, well,
I'm making things up. I don't know.
That's probably not something we want to make up. I have to do this every week with a guest. We do not condone the views of Ace on this podcast. He is here as a guest, and he does not align with all the views of the Guide to Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. Anyway, so let's talk about movies on the move. I wrote movies on the movie on the outline, so you can tell I was writing this at night. But Dev Patel's The Green Knight, which, Sean, I know we've been talking about it a while. or for a while. It is now hitting theaters July 20th, so they're committed to a theatrical release. Zack Snyder has said that his cut of Justice League will drop on HBO in March. He also said that it could get an R rating because apparently Batman says fuck at some point, but I think you're allowed 3 fucks before it gets an R. And they're also pushing to release it in theaters, probably, the 4-hour whatever that I will probably go see. Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley's Chaos Walking, which seems like it's a chaotic movie in and of itself, has been delayed multiple times and is now set to hit theaters March 5th. Tom and Jerry, which cool, is heading to HBO Max and theaters on February 26, 2021, and the Mortal Kombat reboot heads to HBO Max and theaters on April 16th, 2021. Out of those movies, any of those that you're really interested to see? Whoever.
Zack Snyder, Justice League, obviously, and Mortal Kombat, just because it's Mortal Kombat. The rest, though, hate to say it, because I really love Dev Patel and Slumdog Millionaire in line, but that Green Knight trailer looked like absolute trash.
What?
Oh, and yep, I said it.
Damn.
I said it. Wow. And also, hopefully I'm wrong. Hey, I don't want to be right when I make these predictions. Okay. But we'll see. And then Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley, with a movie with that many reshoots, it's very rare that they get it right eventually. They might salvage it, but to nail it, unlikely.
For me, the very new interesting thing has been that, putting a movie in theaters is sort of its dumping ground during this, COVID time where, most of the movies you'll see in theaters, with the exception of ones that will eventually be released on VOD. But there's a lot there that, it's like, all right, let's just put this in theaters and then not worry about it. And so I look at the Chaos Walking and the Green Knight, and I think about Chaos Walking is coming in March. I'm hoping by then, shots are going to be in the arms. Maybe we'll be going to theaters. And so maybe they're planning to say, hey, let's get everybody to go see Chaos Walking. Doesn't seem likely for March. However, the Green Knight in June, that seems like one where they're, hoping there'll be a decent amount of crowds in theaters. Now, crowds in theaters to see an A24 Dev Patel movie about, the Legend of the Knights, it's not exactly going to crowd the theaters, but it will hopefully have a pretty good theater standing. And I think that's why they've dropped it in July. This is always, or June, excuse me. This is always the, right now, this is this game of chicken that we're playing with a pandemic and the fear of a pandemic of when do we actually just start to release release movies into theaters. And so I wonder where that will go here.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I think going back to the Warner Brothers decision that we're going to see a reversal of some of the films. I think that, I said this last week or the week before when we were talking about it, their decision to make the announcement that all next year's titles going to HBO Max and theaters, I think was really dumb. They should have at least said through March and then a case by case basis, or, through June or something like that. And then move their schedule around appropriately, because the news was out there that we were expecting a vaccine on the horizon. And if all goes well, hopefully things are getting back to somewhat normal, come March, April, May. I just think that they lost a lot of bargaining power when it comes to any decisions that need to be made in the future with theaters regarding release windows or anything like that. So the fact that they are that the Green Knight is one of those films that is still committed to theaters, I think, like you said, is really big for that studio to push it for the summer release. They're probably expecting big things from it. But I don't know how Warner Brothers does that with any of their films, even if they decide to just put Dune, right? I think the damage has already been done. Sure, there's news out there today that's saying that Dune might be I guess the director is really pissed off, and they're debating reversing course for Dune because they want to make sure that it has the ability to build additional, to spawn sequels and stuff like that in the future. But once that dam breaks and you have one director that gets his way, what happens with all the other films?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
That's going to be chaotic if they do it. I want them to do it, but that will just be chaotic the other way. Oh God.
And everybody always compares it to the Snyder Cut and Zack Snyder getting his way, but that's a very different set of circumstances all around that. So listen, some late breaking news here regarding awards, which Sean, I know that you're a big awards guy, and we're going to be talking about this more after the start of the new year. But the Golden Globes is what I was just about to say. Has made some shifts. They moved Promising Young Woman from comedy to drama. Maria Bakalova, who was the daughter in Borat 2, is now up for lead, best actress or lead actress, whatever the role is, whatever it is there. The same is happening with Helena Zengel's role in News of the World, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm hearing amazing things.
Lead, okay.
And Disney Plus's Hamilton has been submitted and accepted in the comedy or musical category.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one either.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
It's not even a movie.
Like it's a filming of a live
that's too far.
Well, this is the Globes also, so the Globes are kind of dumb.
Yeah, you're right.
The Globes go two different ways with it. The Globes used to be this big predictor of the Oscars, and it was like if you won a Globe, like you won an Oscar. That was the way this went. And all of a sudden, in the past 3 or 4 years, I don't know what's happened. Either the Globes got safer or the Oscars got riskier. Something weird happened where all of a sudden the Golden Globes stopped being the very and now it's really almost really tough to predict the Oscars as much as it used to be, because people just said, oh, what won the Globe, and then did someone else get more popular since then, and that's how it goes. And but now it's just kind of the Globes are just this different thing, which is kind of fun. It's now this chaos. like the fact that Hamilton might be best musical comedy is so freaking ridiculous. And that's how I look at it, though. I look at it as the Globes aren't going to set a precedent for anything.
It just further muddies the award season, though. This is already going to be a wild award season, and now with the category switches, I don't know.
You already just saw I believe the LA critics and the New York film critics both announced their winners, and it's all First Cow and Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Movies I'd love to win. I want those movies to win, but there's no chance in hell those are reaching the Oscars. And it just shows the critics being stuffy people like myself. I'm there because I love those movies. It's just such a weird, it's going to be the weirdest award season of all time, and I'm here for it.
Well, speaking of awards, future Golden Globe Award nominee and winner, Fantastic Four, directed by John Watts, coming out of Marvel. Of course, we got news during the Investor Day, confirmation really, that Fantastic Four is in early development with the man who likes to take the third shot at these franchises, John Watts. He's really good at reviving franchises for the third time. It's what he does, right? But we thought it would be fun to do a little bit of fan casting here. And we're focusing on the main four roles, which would be Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, who's the Invisible Woman. We have Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, or The Thing. If you want to throw in Dr. Doom, if you have any thoughts about that, feel free to do that as well. But we are not allowing John Krasinski and Emily Blunt to be included because they are dominating fan casting everywhere. And I think that's enough of a reason that Disney's going to be like, no. So, Sean, let's start with you. Give me your casting.
I need to first make sure it is said that I don't know much about comic book characters. I appreciate them. I didn't realize some of these comic book characters are in relationships, and so there's going to be an age discrepancy that's going to be a little bit difficult to manage. I don't think it's illegal; it's just immoral. So I'm going to start off with The Thing. I went with Dave Bautista. I just think unfortunately it's an incredibly obvious, not fun one there. But I just had to go with Dave Bautista with that one. They don't need to put any makeup. Then you have he's made of rocks. Then you have for the Human Torch, I have Nicholas Hoult. I think he has like sort of a cocky level to him. He's got the good looking charm to him. Basically, I'm basing his performance off of how he was in The Great, the Hulu series, where he played a Russian oligarch. I think. No, Russian leader, Russian king. Yeah, king. And I do not know how it goes over there, but and so he was just very, cocky, very charming and very silly. All right, so here we go. These are going to be the tough ones. So for Sue Storm, I went with Anya Taylor-Joy. I love the idea, it's just someone who is beautiful, who looks smart because she played chess, and I believe that she was the smartest chess player in the world. And I just thought that that would be a good pick for that. Okay, here we go. And so we couldn't do John Krasinski, so I went with someone that has that same sort of attractive nature, but also sort of nerdy. And we've already talked about him on the pod today, and that is Jason Sudeikis for Mr. Fantastic, who is Yeah, and I think he could play young, and Anya Taylor-Joy could play old, and I think maybe I'm still an okay person, but that those are the two that I looked at with that. That was the toughest one I had, without a doubt, was Mr. Fantastic. Yeah,
I could see someone like Jason Sudeikis in there only because Marvel does like to throw the comedy element in every once in a while, so that could happen. I don't know. Ace, what are your thoughts?
I just want to say quickly, Sean, I don't think Nicholas Hoult is handsome enough for Human Torch. Good looking guy, but not handsome enough.
I think I agree with you there. Yeah,
I think for the Human Torch, you go with Zac Efron. That's the dude who, he's good at playing that character. He's done it in many movies. Just give it to him. Let him take his shirt off. It'll be a thing. Give him a franchise. Give him a spinoff. We'll all go see it. Okay, for The Thing, I like Terry Crews just because he's yoked. Yes. Terry Crews is yoked, and if you want to talk about the comedic element, give it to Terry Crews. And I know that The Thing I'm not like a huge Fantastic Four fan, but my understanding is The Thing is more kind of blunt, Batista and Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of more like that character. But I think Terry Crews can make that a funny character. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about really with The Thing. For Mr. Fantastic, I went with an older guy, still a handsome guy. He's not that old. Kyle Chandler. Oh. I like Kyle Chandler for that. He's kind of like the leader of the team. He's smart. He's still kind of he's handsome enough though.
That's an interesting
old enough to be married. And then for the Invisible Woman,
Connie Britton.
I'm not really sure, so I'm going with Elizabeth Moss from The Invisible Man.
It works. Go with it.
She needs a franchise. She needs a franchise movie. She has one, but she needs what with Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale. They're doing more,
but she's doing other Blumhouse films too. She's like their new darling.
Well, they're doing. And they're going to do, I think, they want to do something with, her being the Invisible Woman at the end of The Invisible Man, and then that's going to be a universal thing.
That seems like a stretch.
I
was joking. I was joking when I said this, and they obviously...
I like it still. I think it's going to be fun.
Speak it into existence, Ace. All right, here are my thoughts. I have for Johnny Storm, DeCray Montgomery. He is in the Stranger Things season 3 and 4. Good. He was the Red Power Ranger.
Yes.
I just think he would be solid for that. He's got that bad boy aspect to him, but he's also really charming in Broken Hearts Gallery. So I think he has the range and he could play that. And he's a good looking dude and he'll be able to pull that off. Mr. Fantastic, I have Dan Stevens from Legion and he was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. He's been in a few other things. He was in Call of the Wild. He was the rich guy.
He was the rich guy.
Yeah. I just watched that the other night and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Dan Stevens. So I think that would be interesting. For Sue Storm, I have Logan Browning, who is from Dear White People, African-American actress, but I think she is up and coming and would be awesome in this role. I think it would also bring a diversity aspect to the storytelling of course, Marvel was very, very white for forever, except for specific characters that were meant not to be. But I think in looking at a family that would exist today or could exist today, that would be a really interesting twist on that. They tried that in the last one. with Michael B. Jordan, and I'm forgetting who played Kate Mara, who plays Grimm. This is my weird one for Grimm. I saw this on a website somewhere, and I actually am like all about it. Any of you watch New Girl? Did you ever watch New Girl?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Jack Johnson on New Girl as Grimm.
Jake Johnson. Jack Johnson would be interesting.
He's the singer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Jake Johnson. He's a goofy guy, but I think about like the one part of Grimm Ben Grimm that always got me like it was always strange to me is he always was like that older man. He was like that older, like gruffier dude. Of course, because he's friends with Mr. Fantastic and all that. He's older, but I just think that like bringing it back to, I don't know, like a younger age would be really interesting, and putting that type of spin on it would be something fascinating. Dr. Doom, I saw a lot of good casting for. I'll just throw this out there. Javier Bardem was one of them that I saw. Giancarlo Esposito was another one. Sam Witwer would be mine. I like Sam Witwer a lot. He was in I forget the name of the show. He was Doomsday in Smallville. He was the voice of Darth Maul in Clone Wars. He was Darth Maul in the last in the Solo after credit scene. I just think he has that like that look about him. So I don't know. I think that's going to be the next really interesting casting for Marvel, right? Because that is 4 individuals that make up the quote unquote first family of Marvel, and they need to get that right, or people are going to rage. Would you be happy with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt?
No.
Why is that?
They're too famous. They're too like they have enough of their own stuff going on. They don't need. I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't need a reason. I just don't like it.
I wonder this now, because this is very interesting when you say they're too famous. And
no, I know, because I said Zac Efron for Human.
No. I'm not even fighting you on that. I promise you, I'm not fighting you on that. I'm saying, like, what would the crowd reaction be if they go with 4 unknowns? And I feel like
I would be totally cool with that if they get it right.
Well, the crowd reaction, not just us 3. Us 3 would probably be cool with it. But like, I wonder what would like that public perception be. Like,
dude, they'll go see it. If they stamp Marvel on it, people will go see it. Fact. And now you're gonna get it year round through Disney Plus. I wonder if that's gonna hurt Marvel though, more than it's gonna, because then the continuity of it all, it's almost gonna be taken away. Because do you really expect everybody to keep up with the Marvel universe year round? I can do it movie wise year round, but with the shows and all that, I don't think so.
I mean, I'm still going to. As long as they are short series and not like DC was doing with their DC shows that are all intertwined, because they were like 23 episode or 24 episode seasons, and you had 4 or 5 different shows that would cross over, and you needed to know what was going on, and that's a commitment. But a series like Falcon and Winter Soldier that's going to have 6 episodes, and I think WandaVision is 8, if I'm not mistaken. I'm okay with that. I can handle that.
And it's going to be like, slowly boiling the frog to death, as opposed to dropping the frog into the boiling water. It's going to be like a little bit of a stretch of a show at this time. And then, maybe a week off, and then a little bit of a stretch of a show this time. Then you realize you watched everything that's ever existed that's Marvel. And I think it's not going to be like 8 shows are releasing this weekend, because then people will be like, no, forget this. And I think that's what happened with DC. It's like I didn't know what to watch for I was like, there's like 18 shows, they all have 12 seasons. Like, what do you want me to do here?
It gets crazy.
So,
it's funny too, thinking about like the Marvel films that are coming up, or the Marvel series that are coming up. I originally thought they would all be like hour-long dramas or hour-long series, but Kevin Feige today said that She-Hulk is going to be a 30-minute legal comedy. And
I'm cool with that.
the Good Wife, She-Hulk. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they go about that, but I'm okay with it. I also kind of fell in love with the way that the Mandalorian was, where they would deliver an episode that may be like 45 minutes, and then the following week it may be 28 minutes. It's just about the story and the strength of the story. I'm all for that.
I was furious when they hit me with that 25-minute episode. I was pissed.
Like, I paid for this. This is bullshit. All right, so let's
get Walt Disney on the line. Oh.
Yeah. So wrapping up here, let's talk about what's coming out this week. We have No Man's Land starring Frank Grillo and George Lopez and Jake Allen, which is hitting VOD and digital. The Midnight Sky starring George Clooney and Felicity Jones is hitting Netflix today, if you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast streamer. News of the World with Tom Hanks is hitting theaters on Christmas. Promising Young Woman hits theaters on Christmas. Wonder Woman 1984 hits HBO Max and theaters on Christmas. Soul hits Disney Plus on Christmas. And Sylvie's Love, which I haven't talked about in a while, but Sylvie's Love hits Amazon Prime on Christmas. And that is honestly up there for one of my favorite movies of the year. So definitely check that out. I am literally going to open gifts with my family and then be like, I've got stuff to do. See you later.
Same.
That's how it goes. But hey, Ace, very happy to have you here. We've been trying to get you on for a little bit, and schedules get a little crazy because we all have lives. But tell people where they can find you.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me again. I was pumped. It was fun. I was totally joking about the Tom Hanks thing, by the way, just for everybody who's listening.
What, the Tom Hanks story about the?
No, that was real. Whether he's on Epstein's list or not, I don't know. I heard a rumor he was. I don't know, but again, you guys don't represent my views. I heard
once again we do not represent Ace's views.
Yeah, see, there it is again. There it is. But if you're interested in my stuff, you can find me on Movie Reviews with Big Ace on Instagram. I have it on private right now because my mom says I'm not going to get a job if I keep it public, but I might change my mind. And also, there's going to be a podcast coming soon, not like this. It's just where we have people on. Both of you guys are invited. I'm having this dude on, Yuri Rutman. I don't know if you saw my review. He did a short film about a woman who can only become sexually aroused near trains, and he starred himself in it. And it was interesting to say the least. He's coming on the podcast tomorrow. So it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool though. And you're also hit or miss with TikTok, right?
Yeah, hit or miss. TikTok, dude, I had to delete it because it was too distracting. I couldn't get things done. But yeah, TikTok, same thing. Movie Reviews with Big Ace. I got some fire on there. There's some good ones.
Sometimes I'll start checking out TikToks and like an hour and a half goes by and I'm like, oh shit.
I know, it's the worst.
It's absolutely crazy.
And China's stealing your information.
Yeah, right. Did you say Canada or China?
China.
Canada. I was like, oh shit.
Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks,
Canada. Got it. Sean, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Math Teacher Movies. I do movie reviews from the past and the present. I do television shows from the past and the present. I do Monologue Monday, What the Oscars Got Wrong Wednesday, and Final Shot Friday.
There you go.
Nice.
Rough pause in there. I'm telling you, I got it soon.
And you can find me at guidetomovies.com for daily movie news and reviews, as well as Guide to Movies on Instagram, Guide to Movies 1 on Twitter. I do dabble with TikTok every once in a while, but I haven't found my rhythm there. So maybe that will happen in the future. For everyone to know, this episode is coming out on Wednesday, December 23rd. Enjoy it. We'll also have a special bonus for you on Friday, Christmas morning. Sean and I will be releasing a mailbag episode with questions that we received from all of you fine people. And you can listen to us anywhere that you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, all of that fun stuff, Spotify. And Sean, what would you like to tell the people?
Wear your damn mask! Did you order the code red? Wear your damn mask!
If you don't, you're going to be fucking gone.
I want to see you again!
Please wear your damn mask. And happy holidays, everyone. We really enjoyed, the past, 26 episodes, Sean? That's kind of wild already. Or 27 episodes. It's kind of wild. Yeah. So with the holidays coming up, we will be back next Tuesday, though, with an episode sort of wrapping up the year and getting into some awards talk and talking about kind of our favorites of the year and stuff. I'm sure there'll be movie news. So we'll have a little fun. It'll be a little relaxed. Sean, maybe we'll have some beers during that one.
Let's see. I'm in.
We'll see where that goes. Ace, once again, thank you for being here. We'll talk to you soon.
I want to say something real quick. I recorded my movie reviews. It's me talking. That's how it's different. So if you're interested in me talking, that's where it is.
Wait, and where are they recorded at?
Just on my phone.
No. I mean, like, are they on your? Is that on Instagram?
Oh yeah. Yeah, on Instagram, I just do it on my couch. I'm just like, this is me. These are my thoughts. 1 minute.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Ace, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
See ya.